If you're a graphic designer and you're looking to elevate your design game, Creative Market has you covered. Imagine a massive library of high-quality fonts, template, graphics, all of it just waiting to make your work shine. We recently purchased several mockups from the seller CreateC. We were looking for something to help us pitch an idea to a client, and the quality of the mockups was so amazing, so unmatched, and we were so happy with the final product. And there were hundreds of options. It was incredible. From handcrafted typefaces to unique mockups and even design assets, Creative Market has got the tools to help you bring your vision to life faster and smarter. I think we can all say yes to that. Plus, you have the added bonus of shopping and supporting tons of other small businesses and creatives just like you. So if you're ready to take your designs to the next level and really show them off, check out Creative Market and start creating with ease. Dive in at creativemarket.com today.
Yay! Welcome to the Typecast. That's our new intro.
You did your Dax Shepard. Welcome to Armchair Expert.
That's so funny. I was thinking it sounded like some sort of like a monster car rally. Let's get ready to, yeah.
Rub up your engines, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on to your hats.
Get ready for the Undertaker.
Ooh. I know all the monster truck names now because I went to a monster truck rally.
They're so
I
fun.
guess rally. No, I did not have the
Give
same
us a
experience.
couple. Give us a couple of your best names.
No, it was so loud. It was like, obviously, it was so
I love
loud.
that you went to a monster truck rally and you're like, it's too loud.
That's like going to the beach and like, I don't know.
I went.
It was sandy. I didn't really like it.
4 out of 10.
Well, I brought my child who was 5 at the time. And we were both like, it's very loud. I mean, we had headphones, but they were not noise canceling. So they basically like looked the part. Anyway, this is totally irrelevant.
No. I love monster truck branding. I love the names. I love how it's like go into a crazy theme. It's just go crazy. You know, it's so great. The Gravedigger, the Undertaker.
I have them all.
The Skull Crusher.
Gravedigger, El Toro Loco. I mean,
those all sound like moves at the gym. Skull Crusher definitely is.
It is.
Right, it's like a CrossFit move.
Yes, Skull Crusher.
Yes.
Yeah,
we have to do them all the time. It's the worst. It really.
Someone did like a yoga
I'm afraid
course?
I'm going to crush my skull.
Truly. Yeah, if you did a yoga course but revamped it, rebranded it to almost be like the Liquid Death version of yoga, I think it would be so fun. Just
That's
to like,
so LA to do something like that, though. It's like yoga, but with goats. They always have some sort of angle.
Yeah.
It's like it can't just be one thing in LA.
yoga,
it's like,
but with monster trucks.
Yes, it's like
Yoga
yoga
can
for
start
emo
layering
kids.
them.
I know.
Start layering them like goats that are also emo.
Right. It gets so specific, but I do kind of love it. It's like, how do you find your people? It's like, we don't have bowling teams anymore. So it's like, we need these very niche
communities.
Yeah, community spaces.
Yes.
Why don't we have bowling teams anymore?
Some people do. I bet if we went back to Bowling Green, Kentucky, the bowling alley is still popping off. I bet you anything. And I used to dream of joining a bowling team with my friends. I just thought that would be so fun.
Yeah, back in the South, it's like softball teams are all the rage.
That's right.
Like
adult
softball
yes.
teams. Is
Every
huge.
church has an adult softball team, and
Every
that's kind of like the social event of the season.
But now it's turning to pickleball, right? Everybody's on a pickleball league now.
Yes.
Or disc golf.
With
or
our
whatever.
netty pickleballs.
Yeah, y'all know a little
Exactly.
something about that.
Exactly.
Shout out to
Yeah,
Nettie.
they're the cutest. I will say my husband was on a softball team this year, and I did go to one game, and it was a little bit of a joke.
It is.
No
It's so
offense.
embarrassing to watch. It's like if you're a part of it, it's fun, but watching, you're like, uh-oh. Did you get the
I'm
ick
pretty
about your
sure
husband?
he could wear jeans and he'd be fine. I'm like, what?
Imagine
what
running bases
What are
in
you guys
jeans.
doing? And like, he's an athlete. I don't know what was happening, but we watched and we were like, we're gonna go. This is
That's that's a funny. I love.
You're
that
like,
he's-
I have to stick it out to the end, like do or death. So I'm gonna leave. So this image is not in my mind.
Right.
It was great. It was great. He had a lot of fun. That's all that matters. Anyway, none of this is what we're here to talk about.
graphic design. Back to graphic design.
Do you think we should introduce our guest?
Oh my gosh, should we?
Well, I think you were doing it with the Nettie, and maybe we can come up with designs for monster truck yoga or something.
Okay, well, this duo is one of our favorite duos ever, and they redid the
And
branding.
we love
for
a
us.
duo.
We love a duo so much. We should have a duo off, but again, here I am
Duo
getting
to
off
duo,
topic.
lady to lady.
Yeah. Well, and there's also DKNG. We could get them involved.
duo.
Anyway, we have the lovely Hood sisters today. We're so excited. You want to do a
Hoodzpah.
quick intro to what y'all do?
We are Hoodzpah, co-founded by me and Aim. We're sisters, twins, co-founders, and it's a branding and type design studio in Southern California. And now we have 4 people. We're a 4-person team, small studio, but still doing exciting projects. I never thought that we could be a small studio and could get the clients that we always dreamed of.
I love that. Not having to grow and not having to,
But we still work on small stuff too.
Love it.
All kinds of stuff. So, yep, that's us.
What's been your biggest pinch me? Oh, sorry.
No,
we're still working. Occasionally we speak over each other. You know, that's the duo thing.
That's
time. I'm always
it's my worst flaw.
Just wait till she's done. Just all you have to do is wait till she's done. That's all you have to do.
When you work with your sister, you're constantly just talking over her.
For me, the biggest pinching moment, I mean, still to this day, when somebody will arrive in the info at Hoodzpah and B will send it along and she'll just be like, Disney! Exclamation points or whatever. It's always like, so-and-so. And we're all like, ah! You know?
Yeah, the first email when you're like, they know about us?
I know. I'm like, somebody there reached out? Like, what? I remember specifically the most visceral one was Industrial Light and Magic, because we're big like movie buffs and kind of like pop culture nerds. And when they reached out about a rebrand, it wasn't a small thing. It was a rebrand. I literally ran outside where Jen was on break and I was just like, Jen! Yelling across the field, you know? I'm just like, it was so funny. That was for me.
What a sweet little moment.
We get tapped in to do a lot of like also small projects for dream clients. You know, there'll be those moments where it's like the Kansas City Chiefs reached out. They want to do a poster. The Lakers reached out. They want to do a poster. And I'm like, yes, we just need an in. I just need a corner and I will come in and like, we just hope that one day the poster will lead to this, will lead to that. And then we'll do their rebrand.
I don't think when they need a logo.
No. Yeah, I don't think that's how it works, but that's what I'm hoping is that there is a knock-on effect here.
Yeah, totally.
I think we would both shit our pants if like Pixar or Disney showed up in our.
Those are some dreams.
My son yesterday contributed to a mural at his school, and by contributed, I wrote one word and sent it to the painter, and he did like 80 feet of hyper realism. And my son was like, maybe one day you can be as famous as this mural artist. And I was like, screw you. Oh my God.
You're like, I am big on TikTok. You don't even know.
You're not even allowed to go on TikTok yet, you loser.
I
loser.
So much.
That's hilarious.
Anyway,
imagine razzing your child like that. Like, you loser.
Oh my God, I would never. I just told him he could be anything he wants, and thank you so much for believing in me. But in the end, I was like, you don't even know what I do.
You took the high road, and then you and your husband talked crap on him all night. You're like, I don't know about Joe, man. He's not turning out like I had hoped.
Here's what I want to know. You've worked with a lot of your dream clients, but right now, what would literally blow your mind if it showed up in your inbox?
To me, it's like I've been really thinking a lot lately about, I love these things that we get to do where a lot of people get to see it and experience it and enjoy it, even if they don't know about it. It's something that's really prevalent in the cultural consciousness that just makes our life more delightful and enjoyable in some small way. Even getting your favorite cereal. So it's like those big cultural moments. This is really dreaming big, but like a motorcycle brand, like a Triumph or a Norton or something, a professional sports brand, like getting to touch something as iconic as that means so much to so many people. I just feel like we're so good at maintaining heritage in brands that come to us, keeping what works and then just finessing it for future use. So it's just something like that would just be so cool to me.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Or something really unexpected. The guys at Order in New York, Jesse Reed and Hamish Smith, and now I need to check. They got to, I think, rebrand the New York City subway. I'm pretty sure, right? Didn't they do all the wayfinding, I think? Wow. Because they released their brand guidelines as a re-release through their publishing standards manual. Let's see, Order. Well, anyways, I should fact check this off air. I'll do that later, but we'll fact check it. We'll see if that's right. Remember we saw the LA Olympics 28 logo released and we're like, no!
We were like, so when the hype of the Olympics happened, we had the naivete to be like, we should submit to do the LA 28 logo. It's like, that was done 4 years ago.
That was done like 20 years ago by someone who's already passed on. They plan those things, so it's not really.
It's done. Yeah, the millions of flags for LA are being made, so.
We missed it.
Yeah. But something like that
would be killer.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyways.
Well, I'm pretty sure my son will be in the 2030 whatever Olympics, so maybe for that
one.
For
what sport?
Get ahead now. He's not even 7. This is just our
But what's he good at?
Dream.
Okay.
BMX racing. He's good for a 7-year-old who can't fully spell anything.
I love that. But how annoying for all the Olympians when the skateboarding and surfing came into the competition were immediately the coolest sports in the whole thing, and that just like curling or whatever, just so pissed in the corner, you know?
That's why
my husband
was so drama.
My husband's mom loves curling so much, they're Canadian, that she watches it on repeat. She already knows what's going to happen. We came on Christmas and we were like, oh, wow, it's a new game. She was like, no, I know what's going to happen. This guy's about to get it.
She's like one of those people who's like, it's just like the 1974 championship in Calgary. They're going to mess this one up.
They mark like life events by their team's wins or losses.
Oh my gosh.
Curling seems like a joke that everybody's pulling on us.
I know. It's so
real sport.
interesting. But I have a feeling it'll be like Nick Cage, Creed, Comic Sans. It's going to make a comeback because it's been the butt of the joke for too long.
That's true.
You know, when something's been in the trough that long, they're about to skyrocket. Because next generation's going to be like, why is everyone hating on this?
Yeah.
So bad?
The next
like,
generation
this is honestly fun.
Bucks the tradition before it. So they say like, oh, you say I shouldn't like that? Guess what? I like it.
Oh my gosh. You guys nailed it with the Comic Sans. It's literally perfect. I love everything that you said. I love the dreaming big. We used to have a Triumph. I already forgot what it was, but we had a Triumph. So I'm going to manifest that for you. I think that's great. And I also love the projects you're talking about are projects where unless someone follows your brand, you don't get recognition for doing those projects. Like your name isn't going to be on it. Your signature won't be on it. And that's something that I think graphic designers just accept. But I think it's cool that that's what you picked as something that nobody's going to know was yours unless they follow the two of you.
We were actually walking around our neighborhood one time and I saw a t-shirt that Josh Ariza did. One of the
Chomp t-shirts.
Yeah, a landscape guy was wearing it. And I almost was like, I know the guy, but nobody cares. We've been in line. We've been at the airport and seen like a t-shirt we designed. Someone was wearing it and we almost tapped the guy. I was like, I made that.
I've done it before.
And, it's like, nobody
the
cares.
response was so like,
you just
you
know
stop
how
bothering
that
me?
is going to go. Yeah.
It was so humiliating.
Oh gosh,
I was like, I'm so sorry.
I think you should stop them.
I did. I stopped somebody and they were just so like, excuse me.
Like they didn't even understand what we were saying. Like, what?
The context doesn't make sense.
But it'd be like if the architect
it
of
feels
like the
a
Rockefeller Center
superpower
was,
though.
It does. Yeah.
It's just so exciting when you make something, like you said, it's a superpower. It feels like you make something that somebody else can take and run with and use. Like our client, Happy Tooth, just sent us a bunch of stuff that he had another designer make for them. They're taking our brand and running with it. And it's like, we're a part of it in a way, but it's completely bigger than us now. They're doing all these other things. They made a kid's book. They have their own toothbrushes. They have their own toothpaste line. It's just so cool to see. And even today, my friend tagged me, Jenna and Kelly Friedis. They're a set of twins that have their own studio called A Good Pair. We're always sending each other stuff and just talking design. And they're like, Emma Chamberlain used your font Beverly Drive on her coffee. I'm like freaking out going over there. You know, it's just, I have nothing to do with that. Some designer luckily picked our font. It just feels so good to be a part of some bigger.
That is the cool thing about making fonts is it's a tool for other designers. And if it does find traction somehow, it's honestly hard. Then it is really exciting to see it out in the world.
When you see something like that, do you immediately go and check if they have the right license?
That's so not me.
Usually.
I'm just so happy. I'm just like, yay! Like
to some extent, you're like, this is great marketing. I mean, sure, take it. You know, download it from that free. You know what's funny? I get a Google search. I don't know. You know when you sign up for the Google tools?
Oh, right.
Google I sound so smart right now. Yeah. It'll tell you your search results, like what queries resulted in the most landing on your page and blah, blah. Well, some of the top queries that lead people to Hoodzpah, it's like free Palm Canyon font. Free Redondo font. It's like they're looking for ripoffs or free, like someone who's hosted it as like without paying for it. And I'm like, y'all, I can see you. 150 people last month alone looking for free downloads.
It's like now it's free on Adobe fonts, y'all. Just get on Adobe, sync those fonts. It's free to use.
Yeah.
So you have your side of the business where you do custom client work, but you also have a side of your business where you have a shop and you sell fonts and you have your own font boundary. Ooh, I do have a question for you. On a scale from 1 to 10, how much do you care about people using the word font versus typeface in the correct situation?
Not at all. -10.
I use it wrong 50% of the time.
Me too.
It's just even what comes to mind.
It's like we're teaching this logo and branding class right now. And, you know, we're trying to remind people the difference between branding and visual identity and logo. They're not all interchangeable, but sometimes you're like the brand, but you're talking about the branding. You're kind of like, shit, I'm also interchangeably using this. But it's kind of the way our culture is like adapted these terms. So I'm like, whatever. We all know what I'm talking about. Okay.
Use the context clues.
Honestly,
it's fine.
I love to hear that. We just did a talk at Adobe Max about, we can all agree there's design snob people out there. Like it's their number one most important job to correct you on when you say GIF versus GIF or typeface versus font. Let's not take that attitude, and it's not that deep and not important. So I love to hear it from you ladies. I think it's so important to perpetuate that side of the message too, because all we're seeing is like trolls popping up in comments and being like, actually,
oh my gosh, the TikTok trolls. It's like, can you just find another page to be nasty on?
Right. And the people who will call us out when we don't have hanging punctuation or something. I mean, I love to have it, but there are people that are just like going around with their pointer finger out, ready to type.
Yeah, just walking around like this. Yeah,
and honestly, it's like, cool. Thanks for that feedback. I did miss it. Now I'm gonna fix it. Like we did this presentation. We spent all this time. We were really focused mostly on the logo, but when you present your round one logo creatives, you do it in the context of somewhat of an initial fleshed out like visual identity context, a little bit. And so we had done this little supporting visual identity, but it wasn't 100% dialed. And at the end, they were like, we love it, but gosh, that typeface needs some kerning. The spacing is awful. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. And then I looked at it, I was like, wow, it really is awful. I was so focused on the logo, the color, the everything, making the mockups that I like really didn't pay attention to the type. And I was like, you're right. That looks bad. Thanks so much for the feedback.
Don't worry, we can fix that.
But I was just like, oh, shoot.
Well, yeah, sometimes you need a good kick in the pants or you were paying attention to something else, but other times they're just being a jerk.
I think it's fair for you to say dick.
Dick. Dick. You know what? We had an entire conversation because I did say dick on stage at Adobe Max, and we had a whole conversation, my husband and I, with his coworkers. They had a happy hour like the day after we got back, and I was like, is that a cuss word or not? Everybody voted that it was like, swear words and bad words were different things. And what I said was barely a bad word. Somebody was like, maybe you cussed in the 1900s. But what do y'all think? Where would you say dick falls in for you?
I think it's so funny because we grew up in that era, and you did too, where it was like everybody wanted to be edgy. So everything was like, fuck this, fuck that in every design talk. And it just became so fuck heavy. And I just remember being like,
they like overdid it.
Yeah, and I remember just being like, every book title had to have fuck in the title, like to like get somewhere, But we were all doing it. Listen, we were all doing it. I think we were just trying to say, listen, we're relatable. We can talk frankly here, but it reached a critical mass point. So I think for a time I was like, I'm not using them anymore. I'm not relying on, because I think we all know as like presenters, some easy tricks to kind of get everyone loosened up when you're giving a talk. It's like show a photo of you as a kid looking like a goofball or a goober. Curse a little, show a meme. Yeah. I'm pro like getting everyone to relax with and dropping a few. Just talking normal.
Real, like you talk. So I like that because if it's you and that's how you talk, I think it's way more interesting than something that's perfectly polished. Yeah.
It's way like more giving a TED talk.
Yeah. So are you team dick is a curse word? Or are you team
dick here's the thing.
Bad word or nothing?
It's 4 letters and it ends in CK. I think it kind of has to go in the curse category. Like honestly.
That's the metric.
If I had like a 6-year-old next to me, I'd be like,
that's a good point.
We curse way too much. And our god kids, whenever we're around our friend, we're always like, and she's like, can you chill?
I also curse a lot.
There's a 5-year-old. I'm like, I'm so sorry.
But I feel you because it's so natural now. It just comes out here, there, everywhere. I can't control it. So it's like, it feels so good. It's so therapeutic to say something that has that kind of a CK ending. Like it feels.
No, it's very percussive.
Right. It's like, you're expelling something.
It's like bam in your face.
I think it falls in the curse category. I think it is. It is. Hardcore.
Well, thank you so much for weighing on that very important concept. We had to figure that out. So from
and
dicks
that's
to
our
fonts.
podcast.
From dicks back to fonts.
Wrap it up. Roll credits.
So, okay, you have a foundry. Not called Dick Fonts. It's called Hoodzpah.
It's called Hood Foundry.
Okay, I've got to stop. I have got to calm down.
Get it together, girlfriend.
And your first font was a collab with Retro Supply Co. Dustin Lee, and was called Palm Canyon Drive, correct? Mm-hmm. Okay, so tell us just a little bit of how your first font came to be and how that process of diving into your first typeface font, whatever we want to call it today, was for you.
Are we going to get technical? Yeah. That was so fun, honestly. I think it's a testament to like, it's really easy to get in your own head as a creative, especially when you run your own studio or you work for yourself, to be like, what do people care about? What should I be focusing my efforts on? Do I have a personal style? Do I even need one? That sort of thing. So he was really great because he reached out and he was like, have you guys ever thought about doing a font? Like you're known for your script, custom word marks. And I was like, nobody wants that from us. And he was like, I think they do. Look at the last 4 or 5 logos you all have launched. They're all some variation of mid-century modern script. And I was like, yeah, that is what we get asked for a lot. And he was like, well, what if we turn it into a font, something into a font? And I was like, yeah, I guess we'll try. And honestly, I'm kicking myself in the pants. He said, do you want 50% ownership if we do this 50-50? Or do you want me to just pay you out? And I was like, this won't go anywhere. Just pay me outright. And I regret it to this day. It did so well. So he had a guy that basically took everything that I made in Illustrator and took it into glyphs, really made it a working font. I had just designed the type and the letters and stuff. that really got a fire under my tail. Like he saw something, a business opportunity that I really never would have tried or thought of. So I think it's really interesting, like listening to your audience and listening to friends and peers that know you. Sometimes they can know what you're good at more than you do. Like you'll be focusing your efforts somewhere that you really feel like is so important. And we have a business mentor who's the same. He's like, why are you focusing so much time on that? And it's like odds and sods or our little knickknacks. And that's fun. It's not like we can't do it, but it's making these fun little designer nerdy things for our shop. And it's like, this is the thing that's really valuable. And so I think he's pretty much the one that taught us everything about business. And then we turned that into a book and it did really well. But again, those are things that we didn't think anybody wanted from us. But the type thing was really fun. And I think anyone who's good at customizing type should try starting to make their own lettering. And then that leads into, okay, what are people really responding to? What do I get requested for a lot? Or what do people say is my style, even if I don't think it is? Yeah, for us, it's definitely like script fonts has become our little niche, I think.
Yeah.
Just kind of like display fonts that aren't too much, but are still something that adds some like zhuzh.
Did one of you take the reins in learning how to do that
was
once you decided to do them yourselves?
Yeah, Amy was the forerunner. She blazed the trail.
After Dustin, we did that font Palm Canyon Drive with Dustin. I was so shocked that people responded so well to it. And I'm really shout out to him because he was like, we should make a lot of extra alternate characters. And like, I had already made them, but I was like, which should we pick? He's like, no, we're going to include them all. I learned a lot from that process. And I'm really thankful that I got to kind of try it that way.
And also fonts, when you release them, the hardest part sometimes can be finding the audience and getting the exposure to get it bought because you put a lot of time and effort in upfront before anyone pays for it.
And there's so many talented type designers nowadays. I feel like type design is like the new hot thing. For a while, it was like, should we learn to code? And then it was like 3D and motion. Now I feel like everyone's taking Cooper Union class or whatever it is, like a letterform archive workshop. And so there is a lot of competition out there. And I think the hardest part is finding your audience and getting people to know that you have something online and have more than just one offering.
So if you don't have that built-in shop or something that people are already going to or the audience, teaming up with someone like Destin Lee that early on was really great because he had that whole built-in audience of Retro Supply Co. And so they sold it on there.
That's giving me an idea. Does Good Type need a foundry where you guys
There was talk about that back when Bodhi was running the reins. She was floating that idea. She was thinking about it. So there's always room for a Good Type foundry, I think.
If people are already coming to learn about lettering and it's like you already partner with all these amazing lettering artists who maybe just don't have the audience or maybe they do have the audience. Great. That would be so cool. Maybe that's in the future.
Yeah, y'all give us a shout out if you're listening and you're intrigued by this idea. Let us know if you're, yes, I'm very into that.
I have tried making one before and that shit's hard. As a design thinker, you have to think in a completely different way when it comes to type design because there's math and there's
it's so granular.
Other numbers.
It's so granular. It's so relaxing to me.
You know how certain people really try out motion? It's like they start out as a general graphic designer, then they try out motion graphics and they just take to it like a duck to water. Or like people who transition from being general graphic designers to 3D artists. I feel like some people just like they find a home in a program that other people are very overwhelmed by. I've tried motion graphics like After Effects and it's overwhelming for me. But when I went into glyphs after working so much in Illustrator for type, I was just like, ooh, this is fun and it gives you so much control. And then once you get your general letter forms that kind of inform all the other letters, because there's some control characters you always start with. And those really can help like you have a lot of the pieces you need to then just keep putting this like jigsaw puzzle together.
Yeah,
and then I translate this to here.
Yeah, there's a lot of repetition. It's like once you have the N, you have the H, you have the M, it kind of becomes a fun puzzle. If you like puzzles, you'll like this. Yeah. The hardest part, Alana, don't you think, is finishing it? I have so many things I
didn't, so yeah.
That everyone has that story. I have so many friends who did the Cooper Union program and they're like, I have this font. It's like 85% done. And I'm just like, first of all, I just don't even know how to start marketing it or I just can't quite go on it. It's like at some point you have to say like, I could second guess this to death. The last 2% is like takes 95%. I think there's a quote somewhere about that. It just making the decision of I could make this better, but I need to just say it's done and just launch it. It could be 20 different things and it's this and it just needs to be this.
There's so much that goes into it. And I feel like the marketing of it is its own art form. Like you said, you went in knowing this is going to be like kind of mid-century. It's going to be scripted. So you kind of had that. And Retro Supply obviously has an audience as well. But when you do something for the first time and you become a beginner again, and then you're also trying to relate it to people who don't expect this from you, it's a lot of work. I mean, there's some big hills you got to climb over there. But yeah, I love that you have all done this. We have found shortcut heaven. If you are sick of remembering every single key command under the sun, this is for you. Logitech's new MX Creative Console will totally level up your creative workflow. It's your new creative sidekick. Customizable dials and keypads make it really easy to adjust all the settings, zoom in on projects, and really fine-tune every single detail that you're working on without missing a beat. Whether you're designing, editing, or even coding or gaming, this console gives you control literally at your fingertips. There's no more switching between all the windows, losing your flow, trying to figure out what key command you're supposed to be using, because you can actually just customize all your favorite shortcuts right there, one click away. It is productivity with precision, and we have been testing it out for a couple weeks and have really loved how it's helped us to work a lot faster. I've customized my console to have the make pattern feature in Adobe Illustrator, so now I can just do it with one click, and the blend tool, which I feel like was never easy to find or make. It was always a couple clicks, and now I can just do it by pressing a button. So if you're ready to level up your productivity, get your hands on the MX Creative Console today and take your creativity further with Logitech. Plus, your purchase comes with 3 free months of the Adobe Creative Cloud, even if you're already a user. So a 2-for-1, we can't say no. We love this and we can't wait for you to try it. I'd be curious to hear how you divide your time between the buckets that you have, because your book, you have your courses, you have amazing client work, you have this, you have your odds and sods. So how do you divide your time between all of those? Because I think that having that variety keeps it interesting and obviously makes it fun and helps even out ebbs and flows. But then a font is not a quick weekend project.
Right. Well, and honestly, having all these irons in the fire, I love it because it helps us get income in ways that if we didn't have it, I would have to be way more on sales for Hoodzpah as a studio, as like a service offering.
We would really have to be trying any right now.
Yeah, we would have to be trying a lot more hard than what we're doing now, which is much more organic and much more relationship building with people and following people that we admire at different companies and trying to build rapport and just keeping
in touch with friends that we've done projects with before.
Like basically. We obviously do a lot of work on brand awareness, just like the way we go to events and are involved, blah, blah, blah. But if we were to just be a studio and have to just make good money just doing branding, I would have to do a lot more.
Yeah. So having all these passive income, or I shouldn't say passive because it's very upfront work, but like having things that can be just like making money. We know when our slow periods are for the studio, which is like summer is always slow. People are on vacation, kids are home. We know in the summer we'll have time to work on our book, rewriting that, or work on a course, offer our course. It's really nice having those alternate things going.
And honestly, it's like it helps us recharge for the service work.
It does.
Honestly.
It gets you excited. Sharing what you know with somebody else. It's so rewarding.
Right.
And seeing them get so stoked on learning something or kind of finding like a quick tip or something is just so nice.
But as far as how it breaks down in buckets, I would say the service side is still the most lucrative. Studio
I think the last
side
time I
is
checked,
the most
it
lucrative.
was like 65%.
65, maybe even more actually. 65 to 75% of our income is from the studio, the branding work. Not just new clients, but we have retainer clients that really bring in some nice steady income, which Arturo, the senior designer here, works on most of our retainer clients. And that's just great and easy. And then after that, we've got the book, the course, and any other products like templates, fonts, things like that. And those
we sell all of our templates we use at Hoodzpah. That was a really great one. The practical stuff has been the most rewarding stuff for us in our shop. We were surprised. We thought that the fun posters and like this and then that, but like the practical stuff has done so well for us. And I think for you too, right?
Yeah, I think so. Your book was a huge seller. I think our books came out near each other. And I remember you guys self-published. And I remember you talking about the decision to self-publish, but it's still completely self-published, right?
Oh, yeah.
So any order that comes through is coming through you. And do you wholesale it as well?
Yeah. And it's so funny because we're self-published. I think a lot of universities, like Katie was saying, the snobby effect of certain designers, like I had contact 100 universities to be like, we have this amazing book. It can be a textbook for your professional practices class. We use it at Laguna College of Art and Design for our class. And I could only get 5 people on board. People were so snobby about it. I think also people just kind of
already have their curriculum. Yeah, they already have their curriculum. They don't want to be bothered.
And that could have been it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was just, I don't know.
Freelance is like the thing that doesn't get talked about in school.
Right.
Yeah. So like in graphic design school, there basically
be more about that.
There needs to be for sure. But it takes a very special unicorn to actually teach that.
Sure. And I feel like it's also just like financial literacy. You don't even have to be freelance to need these skills. It's like anybody that's going to do business or understand why a business is making certain decisions should know these things. So I think I was just really surprised at how much hesitance there was. I think now that we have more rapport of bigger clients that we've worked with, I'm going to try again because I think we were kind of no names back then. But I'm like, I know this book is so helpful. If I could get it into colleges. Yeah, if I could get it into colleges just as curriculum to help with just filling in any of the gaps, I just would love that. I think that would be so helpful. But
I think you absolutely need to do that because I was really surprised that my book is used in a couple colleges. And I was like, wait, why? What's happening? And I know, because I adore your book. I have it literally behind me of the 5 books that I keep out on display. I have that there, and it's so much value. And I really do wish that more universities, and I think often it comes down to being the adjuncts are more willing to do it because they can stray from the traditional curriculum. It's so important because the climate and the culture has changed so much that so many people become either entrepreneurs or intrapreneurs, where they're like so involved in their small business, because now it's not just going to agency, it's going to really small. Like you said, you're not an agency or a studio. And so if someone's going to come to that, they need to have their feet in all of it. And so all of that is such good literacy for them. So please try again. I love that.
I'm going to. Yeah. And we've slowly been getting, luckily, it's like now we're further along in our career. We're like, we've been doing this as Hoodzpah for 13, 14 years. So it's like now all the people that I taught in class at Laguna College of Art and Design, they're teaching at the college. So they're using our book and my friends are using our book. So it's like, it's almost just my friends are going on to teach and they're just like,
this is a grassroots movement.
It is. It's grassroots. It took 10 years, but we're finally doing it.
We were laughing about this the other day. We were like, our best subtle marketing salespeople for us are the junior designers who follow us on Instagram, who start working at a company and suggest us to their art director. Those are our darlings, our babies. We are so grateful for people who are like, I don't know how it happens, but I feel like those are the people who usually bring our name up in client meetings. It's not like the art director's like, you know who I love and want to work with. Like, sometimes it's
from brand new or something.
But, right. But I'm thankful. The lowly interns and the people like that who are just like, have you heard of?
I know. It's so nice when every project we get, we always say like, oh, how'd you hear about us? And it's like always so fun to hear. And it's always the most random thing. You just never know. And it really goes back to
you don't realize you're planting seeds and then until they're all blooming and you're like, oh man,
I know.
I did all that. I didn't even realize.
And it is one of those things where it's like, you really do have to invest in your community, whether it's like online or your design community or just.
It will never come back void unless you're literally just going to events and standing there. But if you are making any effort, it will never come back void. The people part, because it is interesting. We're all seeing this definite flux in how we all interact with each other, how we connect. People are really tired of traditional social media. But at the same time, it's like TikTok and things like that are not really the place to meet people. It's more just a place to just discover random crap. Like, you know, like, I mean,
just
laugh
and
or just to get laughs. And I mean, there is more that I'm discovering now that where I am following people for design and that kind of content. But generally, I'm on there just for fun. But it's like, I'm seeing a lot more private Slacks and going back to traditional hitting the ground and doing in-person, like cold visits to businesses. I'm seeing a lot of people going back to old school methods. I think it's because the culture is shifting. And so you can't really rely on 5 tricks to use social media to whatever. It's like, you just have to focus on building genuine relationships, no matter what the method or the means, right? Because that's always going to change. So.
Totally. I had no idea. Nobody pointed out that concept to me, or when I was in college, nobody was like, the relationships you're making now are so important. I think my natural state is kind of introverted. In those personality tests, I typically land right in the middle where it's like, I'm neither or both. But yeah, that was really challenging for me at first. Like Alana, she's so natural at talking to people and making quick friends and finding like an instant connection with people. She'll instantly go up and be like, oh, I think your sister's grandmother should be your sister.
And every single thing is a lie. She just makes it up.
Just kidding. No, she finds real connections. And I'm like, how did you? But that's just not how I naturally work. But I had to get there because that's so vital and it's so, so important. And to have the real authentic connections is way bigger of a role than I ever understood it would be.
Yes. That's like a societal crisis at large, though. Like even with dating and the state of people trying to make friends nowadays, I think a lot of it's post-COVID, but even past that, I follow this sociology guy who breaks down different pop culture things and he's really interesting. And I think he was like, you know, if you're lonely, you have to get in the practice of making friends. Yeah. A lot of people, I think they'll just say like, I'm introverted and just kind of say like, so I just can't do it. And it's like, it is a muscle that you have to flex and it's so uncomfortable. But when you do, just like the connection that comes is so worth the reward. It's so worth the awkwardness or the fear that you felt initially. To get over that is like, it's so major, not just for work, just for life. You have to be an active part of your own life. And so I love what you said, Katie, about I had to learn it because like as business owners, we don't have every skill, especially if you're a small studio. You're doing things that maybe you're not naturally inclined towards. I love what you said about that.
Yeah. I just had this really full circle moment at Adobe Max because many years ago I was running this side project where I included illustrators from all over the world in it. And so I would have to pitch the project to them and get them on board. I was so very awkward. And I went to Flatstock here in Austin and I went up to DKNG and I was like, hi, I emailed you once about this project and I didn't hear back. And then I don't remember which one it was. Maybe Nathan was like, oh, Dan does the emails.
Blamed it on Dan, okay. Threw Dan under the bus.
He threw Dan under the bus, and then I slowly backed away and left. And then at Adobe Max last week, we went up to them and we're chilling with them and we have a great rapport and we took pictures where we're like holding hands and I was like, I've come so far.
Where we were holding hands.
Was it like the... I didn't remember that.
That's hilarious. Full circle.
I don't remember that origin story of you doing that. Did you ever...
I'm like turning red just remembering it.
That is so
I told them
amazing.
Once when we talked to them, but I don't think they remember. I mean, obviously they didn't remember me, but yeah,
I've definitely had
embarrassing.
There's times when it works, and Alana, you probably know too. It's like we're pretty outgoing too, and I'll go up to people sometimes. Unfortunately, I think I need more of a filter. Like in Pride and Prejudice, the 2005 ones, when Mr. Collins goes up to Darcy, and they're just like. Sometimes I feel like that. Sometimes I'm like, I need to like take it back, maybe like dial it back 10%. Because my friend Alex Rinker was like, you guys are kind of a lot. I was like, oh gosh.
You know what? If we're too much, go find less. But
but it's handy. But
it is. It's like a double-edged sword. I went up to Alana Louise and I was like, oh my gosh, I've been following you for so long. And I was like, ever since your first font. And she was like, I've never made a font. There were two Alanas. I follow both of them. I was like mortified, but
that is the worst.
I hate and like didn't know her.
Happens. Yeah, but Alana's so chill. I bet she laughed it off a bit. Yeah, she probably laughed it off. You guys, if you told her about this again in a year, you guys would probably laugh your asses off.
Somebody did that to me once. When I was trying to remind somebody that we've met before, and she was like, oh yeah, you're that girl with the gorgeous color palettes. And I was like,
that's not me.
I was like, is it me? And then she was pulling up the Instagram and she was like, yeah, like this is your Instagram. And I was like, yeah, no,
it's not.
Nope, that's not my color palette.
No,
mine are much crappier than that.
I wish this was me.
People confuse us too. And then
we got women of type too.
Yeah, we get women of type a lot, which we know Jess very well.
Which we are.
Yeah, we are women
Which
of type.
is why it's confusing.
It's applicable.
And because people think good type is like a bunch of dudes
hairy
with beards.
men.
But either way, my whole life, I have a sister. We look very alike. We are not twins. People would come up to me, and she was always the artist that showed her work growing up. And now she's an art teacher, and she was a glass blower. And everyone would come up to me when they would meet me separate from her and say, are you the artist? Yes, I am, but I'm not the artist that they were looking for, because she sold her beautiful jewelry and her vases. And I'd be like, no, it's not me. It's the other one. But nice to meet you. It was like, ugh. So now whenever we go out, she likes to make sure that I get a taste of that. And she'd be like, my sister's really cool on the internet.
That's so funny.
That's nice.
Oh, that's so
She's
nice.
pumping you while you guys are out.
She likes
That's
to hype me up after years of her being the only one
of living in her shadow. She has finally shed some light. That is so funny.
She's great. We're each other's biggest fans. Anyway, I think we should do really quick rapid fire. We'll ask you like 2 or 3 questions.
Can one of the questions be my question now?
Go, yes.
I'm going to change one of the questions too. You talk a lot about mentors and peers who have really helped you and shaped your careers and trajectories. So what's a really, really great bit of feedback that you got from somebody that stuck with you?
Ooh. You know, it's hard.
You can percolate on it.
No, I think honestly, the best thing I've ever gotten out of mentorship and peers, things kind of thing, it's never one piece. That's the thing that I think is so important about having a living community and not just doing courses that are more just on demand, is because there's never one quick answer. It's always like, you just need help with that 5% dial that they're like, oh, if you just change this wording, or what if you added this page? And it's never something that's formulaic that you can apply en masse. It's usually like a nuance. And it's just like a second opinion that you're like, man, that made that 5% better, which is all I need to beat out 2 other people probably.
It's like something's unplugged and having someone just plug it back in. I know. Sorry with the hand. I just keep thinking I need someone to like plug those 2 things together. And I feel like that's what our students always need too.
I think that's why people really love any sort of community component most of any kind of course, is because they don't know what they're missing. And there's really not one thing. They need some sort of solidarity and just to see things reinforced that they thought. and to see nuance that they didn't even think that they needed
maybe
to
gain
ask.
some confidence.
And I think it's
through
just
someone else's eyes.
Yeah, it's a lot of just ethereal mist that you're like, that slowly seeps in over time.
Just a little
That's all
bit.
I can say.
What a lovely answer.
I think that's part of why we wanted to work with you for the rebrand is that, sure, we can design brands, certainly not our specialty, but we wanted that opinion from people who we trusted, who could kind of give us that outside view looking in, but then could get in the weeds and look back out too. And we were like, the people who are going to do that for us are going to be Amy and Jen. We just like
that was such an honor.
Like,
that was seriously such an honor. That was so cool.
Oh.
I still love seeing it. You guys use it so well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
We should also collab on a candle called Ethereal Mist.
Ooh.
Yes. I love that. We just bought a bunch of candles yesterday.
The Ethereal Creative Mist. There we go.
You do this one on TikTok all the time, but design toxic trait.
Toxic
what's your number
trait?
one?
Yeah.
Mine is, we did this TikTok and it really went off, but it's like being inconvenienced by every minor thing. Everything is just like, I can't believe this program isn't working. And it's like one thing just isn't working. I just need to restart my computer. I really need some perspective.
But generally our whole income and
our whole life
and business revolves around the amazing programs we use every day.
Yeah.
But then we're like, this feature, is it just me or is the software going to shit? And, it's just like one feature is like no longer the way I like it. I haven't restarted my computer in 2 months and I'm like, this friggin' program. And every Dropbox file is synced locally. And there's like, so no wonder it's running slow. Yeah. But it's like, it's just so easy.
Yeah, there's an Illustrator feature that just went away. It's not even a feature built. Where you on the left sidebar or toolbar, you can get the stroke or the fill to be nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Through it. It's gone.
No.
And I'm like, this is so inconvenient for me.
Yeah.
Even though that's like available on the right too, you're like, what?
It's literally available on the other side and I can
it's already there.
It to be right there.
And you're like calling your insider
of
Adobe contacts. It's funny. Go ahead.
Fix it.
Sorry, this reminds me of the Louis C.K. joke where he's like in an airplane and people are complaining about the Wi-Fi being too slow, and he's like, "We're in a freaking
we're
metal
flying
tube,
through the sky,
flying majestically through the sky. Open your eyes, people."
I know. So this made headline news. Apparently, there was a flight from New Zealand somewhere, and the individual screens would not work to select your own movie, and so they had everyone vote on a movie that they would just push to all screens. Well, they chose this movie with Dakota Johnson and what's his name, Sean Penn, and I guess they didn't realize it's like
rated
graphic,
R.
It's like graphic sex the whole time, and no one could stop it, and it was like being shown on 70 screens.
That was not an accident. Some flight attendant was like, "I'm
what
gonna
about
get
the
TikTok
children?
famous. I'm going
I
viral."
know, and they were like,
it was just happening to everyone.
And it landed on Reuters and just got
amazing.
blasted out to headline news. I was like, this is so random. But anyways.
Okay,
but
I love you both. You're the best. Thank you for coming.
This was so fun. Yeah, seriously, you all. It's always so fun to hang out with you. I think we could just talk for hours and hours. We just have such a blast.
Let's do it. Yeah. Meet back here tomorrow.
I feel like I should say I love you for some reason.
Love you guys.
That's what's coming in.
Love you. Talk tomorrow.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Yeah. Okay,
love you. Bye.
We'll see you later. And that's the Typecast.